the essential question for a long time really was, why did industrialization begin in Britain? And the implication of most of the people who tried to answer it was that it was because there was something special about British society. And the argument, people looked very closely at the history of the British economy. They noted the early development of commercial practices, the development of an entrepreneurial class interested in investing. They noted that Britain already had an agricultural surplus and that people were looking for ways to invest this money. They noted also that the aristocracy, because people were making money in agriculture, was kicking people off the land in order to enclose it and grow more commercial crops that they could grow. And this produced not only more agricultural surplus, but also laborers who were ready to be employed in new industries. They emphasized the development of new technologies, et cetera. All of these arguments were about something that made Britain exceptional. More recently, though, a group of historians, well, people have criticized this from a number of perspectives. One possible line of critique was to note that these characteristics were in fact shared by other parts of Northern Europe. So instead of thinking of Britain as the sole source of industrialization, that really it was a whole region in Northern Europe that managed to industrialize more quickly. More recently, though, a group of historians with a more global perspective have really changed the way that we now think about this development. And they point out that Northern Europe, at the end of the 18th century, was in many respects quite similar to certain other parts of the world, like, say, China, which had technology, commercial traditions, agricultural surplus. So instead of thinking about explaining the Industrial Revolution in terms of what made Britain different, they started to look at the world economy during this period as a kind of network, and different regions occupy different nodes on that network. And they're trying to understand why it was then that this particular node underwent what one historian has called the Great Divergence, the transition to an industrial economy. And what they've discovered is that some of the advantages enjoyed by Northern Europe had less to do with the culture or particular advantage of the society as a whole, but perhaps even was related to contingent factors. It seems that, for example, that Northern Europe was better able to mobilize resources from the periphery of their economic sphere than the Asian economies. And this might have contributed to their ability to break free of ecological constraints. They had access to agricultural products from the Atlantic world, for example. And this is what allowed them to develop that, the surplus, which led down the path towards a more industrial economy.